Hi, this is the next process in the rebacking operation, making the tube. As I said in the previous video, that's what we're going to be doing now. Here's a text block. One thing I want to reiterate from earlier videos is, to my way of thinking, it's good practice to keep whatever you're working on a pressing board. That way, if there is something not good on the bench, it'll get on the board rather than the book. And so after quite a long time, this has become kind of a habit, and it's a good habit to get into. It might seem like a little thing, but keeping your book as pristine as possible is really important. So I've got my tools. I'm going to need my bone folder, utility knife, dividers, straight edge, pencil, and the basic measuring tool, which is a strip of paper. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to measure the width of the spine from shoulder to shoulder using a paper strip. Wrap it snugly around the spine, and then at the point of the shoulder, make a pencil mark with the side of your pencil. Now you could work directly from this, but I prefer, let's put the book aside for a moment, to transfer it to a pair of dividers. That way we can step off the distance on the piece of paper we're going to be using for the tube. So I set my dividers to this distance. And the nice thing is it doesn't matter what you think it is. You don't need to worry about fractions when you're doing this. It's simply this distance here. Makes a lot of things much easier. So here's my piece of Okawara. Sorry, I didn't mean to hesitate like that. All of a sudden it felt really light. I have, you may notice, cut two adjacent sides on the board cutter just to make things a little easier. Now this Okawara has a fairly textured side and a fairly smooth side. I prefer to glue the textured side. I think it keys in a little better. I might be wrong, but hey. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my dividers from maybe 1 millimeter or 2 to the outside of the edge of the paper. Let's make this straight just because we're all a little anal here. I'm going to start here. I'm going to step off 3 points. And you can go ahead and just poke right down into the paper. Ditto here. Again, just a couple of millimeters away. Okay, now because we're going to be applying the adhesive to the textured side, we'll do our creasing on the smooth side. So I'm going to take my dividers, my straight edge, Tuesday afternoon. Line it up to my divider pricks. Crease. Go to the next pair. Did I just move the phone? I think I may have. Okay. See, I'm just right next to the prick. Two scores. And now for this last one, I'm going to make the final width cut just a bit, 1 millimeter to the inside of my final 2 divider points. And that'll leave us a little bit for expansion so that when we fold the tube together, the edges don't interfere with each other. Okay. So there's that. Now I can flip this guy over. By the way, I did not say, this is taller than the height of the boards or the height of the text block. Obviously, if it's taller than the text block or taller than the boards, it's definitely better be taller than the text block. So you can see there's a little bit of space there to allow for expansion. So, got my PVA brush. The only thing I don't have is a piece of paper to glue on. That can be remedied very easily. Da-da-da. Okay, so there's that. Now, the way this works is I like to only glue along the outer edge. Okay, so I'm going to make some pencil. I'm just going to make some scritches here so you can see what's going on. So about halfway on this side and about halfway on this side. And if your glue lines are about the right width, they'll overlap and you'll get a single layer of glue in between the two flaps. So I'm going to do this one first. That's not big enough. I'm just going to do it on a diagonal. We can do this. All right, does everybody see that? PVA. Okay. Flip it back over. PVA. Throw it away. Bring this over. Bring this over. There's your tube. Because we've cut these two flaps a little bit narrow, sometimes they kind of catch, you get a little glue on the inside there. And so the easiest way to deal with that is keep a thin metal ruler handy. Unstuck. Okay, so there is a basic tube. This will be what's known as 1 on and 2 off. The single layer is going to be adhered to the spine of the text block. The double layer will be off the book. That hence 1 on and 2 off. There are other ways to do this, and there are kind of sometimes when people use like multiple folds, like 2 on and 3 off. I've never done that, but no reason why you can't. So there's a tube, put it aside, grab my book, which is wandered over here, and you want to check to make sure that it fits correctly. So you're just gonna, oops, can you see? Plop like that. If you measure correctly, this will run from point of shoulder to point of shoulder. If it's too narrow, you need to remeasure and cut another one. Ditto if it's too wide. Okay, but this is okay. Now for good work, one leaves the tube, the 2 off part of the tube long and cuts just the one on the inside of the tube, so that it's just a little shorter than the height of the text block, or maybe a little bit onto the end bands. For this kind of more workaday technique, I'm just going to cut it slightly shorter than the text block. In fact, I've got a pretty good edge here. All right, so I'm just gonna measure it. You could cut this on a board cutter, or you can just eyeball it. Oops. Pretty straight. Put this aside again. So now we will glue it up. Clean fingers, dirty fingers. Remember that? Clean or dirty fingers here. If you get any huge goomers of glue or blobs of cat hair, you can pick those off with a utility knife, but that's not an issue today. You can also use your knife to just lift this off. Throw this away. And adhere your tube. Kind of line it up end to end, side to side. Oops, come back, you dog. So. Not perfect, but it will work. Okay, so this is assembling and adhering a tube to your text block. Next video is going to be board and spine prep, and then after that it will be measuring the leather, tearing it out, and starting to put this bad boy together again. So there's that. That's a pretty straightforward and useful method of making a tube. Thanks again, and I will be back at some point in the near future. Take care.